So this is another one of my Cosmic Toys finds, which I was not looking for, but the first time I ever went into the shop, I went upstairs and immediately a Babylon 5 station caught my eye, and then this caught my eye at a similar level a little bit further along, and I thought, I have never ever seen a Klingon bird of prey that size before, and it is massive. I mean, I've had to sort of zoom all the way back on my camera and adjust this angle just to be able to fit it onto screen. It's that big. By way of reference, this is my biggest other bird of prey, which is my Eagle Moss XL size one, and as you can see, it's not even coming anywhere near it size wise at all. It's probably double this size, so yeah, it's huge basically. And it's electronic as well to boot, and as at this point, although the box is opened on, or has been opened once on one side from the looks of it, it's still got its wires attaching it to the insides of the box, you know, so I don't think this is actually being fully unboxed in its life, as far as I'm aware. Now, the Try Me doesn't work because my best guesstimate for how old this is about 9 years old. So I imagine that the battery is probably long since dead, which I'm hoping isn't going to be an issue, because what I'm going to do is get it out of the box for you now so I can have a look at it. I've actually got to stand separately, so I'm going to have to bring that back in anyway. But I need to get it out of the box to look at the manual to see what batteries it needs, because I haven't obviously been able to spot it telling me that on the outside. And then I will try and find some batteries, load it up, and then we can try the sounds and the lights and so on. So let me walk you around the box first. So it's basically saying it features all of the following phrases and sound effects. I can see you, Kirk. Can you see me? Which is Undiscovered Country. Cry havoc and let slip the dogs of war. Another classic. I am constant as the Northern Star. You do prefer it this way, don't you? Warrior to warrior. To be or not to be. And special effects, cloaking device engaging, torpedoes firing, disruptors firing. So that is apparently what we have to look forward to if it works and if I can find the right batteries in a sensible amount of time. So this presumably then would be Chang's ship from Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country, the one that could, unusually for a Klingon bird of prey, fire torpedoes whilst still cloaked, which made it an absolute pain in the backside to get rid of. But of course they did find a way. Spoilers. So authentic sound effects and movie dialogue, light up engines, bridge and weapons, adjustable wings and display stand. Now, what's interesting about this is that it doesn't actually say a lot about what type of bird of prey it is on the back. And I've just done another video where I was looking at this very issue, because there are two types of bird of prey, generally speaking, in the canon. There is the Burrell class and the Cavort class. The Burrell's class bird of prey looks exactly like the Cavort class, but the Burrell is a scout, and that, I believe, is the class of bird of prey that our heroes used in Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home, because it's relatively pint-sized. The Cavort class bird of prey is a cruiser-sized bird of prey rather than a scout. Now, this information here does not tell me what type of bird of prey it is. The crew complement suggests it's a scout, it's a Burrell. Always very difficult to judge scale in space. This is the problem. And obviously most of the time this ship is cloaked, so we don't actually see it uncloaked really much at all. I say that there is actually a sequence where you do see it cloaking up in order to go and chase down the Enterprise and the Excelsior, but I would guess that this was probably a modified Burrell, simply because of what it's saying there, and the 110 meters I think is definitely more in the Burrell. And I think they're saying it varies, because it actually varies a hell of a lot depending on what class of bird of prey it is. But I'm just kind of surprised that they didn't put a more detail on. because it just doesn't say there. It also says it's armed with phasers. I'm not sure it is armed with phasers. Disruptor cannons, yes. Photon torpedoes, yes. But phasers? Really? Standard bird prey cannot fire while cloaked. Experimental model, yes. Yes, blah blah, yep. So this was made, well, I say it was made, maybe, by Diamond Select, and I think I actually recently got some Black Hole merchandise from them. Also got an Art Asylum credit on the front of the box, down there you can see. And I think I half remember having heard of them as a company before that had done some Star Trek ships, but I had never physically laid eyes on one, or indeed hunted them down on the internet particularly. So they've obviously done others. There's a Sovereign class Enterprise there, and some sort of dinky little original series Enterprise there. But I think they have done more than that as well. So let me get this out of the box now, from its innard, and I will have a look at its manual and just see what I need to do to try and get it up and running for you. I'm sure that worked. This worked before. In fact, this is sorry, that's the completely wrong side. Okay, there we go. So it just folds out quite neatly like this, and it folds down like that, and then we just pop the ends out, and you can see it's just, I mean, I can see even without taking it out, it's you know, really nicely painted, much like the Eagle Moss, but this thing is just immense. Now I'm going to try and free it up. So as with many kids' toys these days, it has these little sort of wiry things on them, and it's just a question of disengaging them basically, and then I should be able to get into it fairly rapidly. So I've already done some other videos on other birds of prey that I have, because the bird of prey is one of those really sort of enduring ship designs. It's still around in Star Trek Lower Decks as currently as this year, 2022. So we're still seeing them on screen, and really the Klingon fleet isn't depicted as having done a great deal with them, really. We've seen Klingon Vorcha class attack cruiser, and we've seen the Nagvar come in at battle cruiser level. But we haven't really seen anything else other than birds of prey ever at scout level. It's always been lots and lots of birds of prey, and you know, it makes sense, I guess, because if you're going to create a fairly sort of versatile ship, then if it works, you don't particularly change it. You just kind of, you know, retrofit it and upgrade it over time, more internally than externally. I'm chatting away here because, as is often the way with these things, as soon as you say that something's going to be straightforward to get out of the box, it turns out not to be. This is being particularly tricky, which I guess is the point, because there's even second hand, it wasn't particularly cheap to get hold of. Unfortunately, this has just exposed a bit of wire, which I've got to be a bit careful with. So I might have to resort to Plan B here, which would be getting a significantly sized pair of scissors and releasing it in that fashion, or I could just slide it straight out. So that's going to be part of the base stand. So as you can see, that's the Klingon Empire symbol. So that's going to form part of its stand as and when. I'm just looking to see whether or not that was holding anything else in place. I don't think it was. So let's see if I can now have a little bit more joy on releasing the ship itself. I'm hoping these come off more easily. case you're wondering, this was the only one in the store that I could see. So apologies if you were in the market for one. I have no idea how many were produced. I don't know if it's a particularly rare item. I imagine this one must have been ex-store stock for it to have been still in a box and available in this fashion. I'm guessing there it's a little bit difficult to do one-handed. Hang on, bear with me. Yeah, I'm just going to pause the video while I sort this out. I think that's probably for the best. A short time later. Yes, that required scissors. So here she is, and she is huge. I've actually put her wings into cruise configuration, which is something you can do with this model. A lot of models do not enjoy variable geometry wings, but this one does. I'm, however, slightly terrified of trying to put its wings up into landing position, because the manual, such as it doesn't tell me whether or not it's actually possible to do that. And there's no illustration on it to suggest whether or not you can do it. It just mentions that the wings are sort of variable geometry. So basically, this is probably the only alternative wing configuration it can do, apart from the standard sort of attack mode. Now, even in the series, I think sometimes you see them firing like this, but in the Star Trek 3, they are always in this mode, which is viewed as being the more threatening attack pose of the Klingon bird of prey. Weight-wise, she's hefty, feels all plastic, apart obviously from the electronics, but as you can see, the detailing is really, really good. There are a lot of decals there which didn't require applying. Well, I'm saying there's a lot of decals. I thought that was a Klingon symbol, but it obviously isn't. Although I think there are very small ones in some other places, possibly. I'm just having a look. I'm actually going to use the camera to try and see whether or not that one is one there, that little red semicircle. There's some Klingon writing on the wing, actually. I'm just noticing. But I can't immediately see any actual Klingon Empire glyphs as such. So there's the torpedo tube at the front there. And as is often the way with these, and this is similar actually, if I show you this, the underside of the eagle moth bird of prey, you can see they take quite similar approaches. So that's the eagle moth in front there, you can probably tell. So the sort of the feathered wing pattern is a very sort of standard feature of the bird of prey models that have a little bit more detailing to them than you know, some of the other more basic versions of them. But that is a lot of really nice detailing, and this is, I mean, I would say this is kind of old school X-wing size. It's got that sort of feel to it. It's mightily impressive. The disruptor cannons are really nicely detailed as well. You know, they definitely look the part, and unlike my Eagle Moss version, they are not going to snap off in your hand easily. This was clearly designed to be played with, you know. So I'm now going to go away and find a screwdriver and batteries, because this is the battery compartment here. So I just need to get myself into there so I can try and show off some of the other features to you. Okay, so I'll be back with you in a very short while. Okay, done all the necessaries, so let's start the light show.
I can see you, Kirk. Can you see me?
It's pretty good. Might have been a torpedo launch. It's pretty loud. Let me just pop it up a little bit because it is lighting up in various places. That I'm guessing was disruptors firing.
I am constant as the northern star.
No idea what that was supposed to be.
Warrior to warrior. You do prefer it this way, don't you?
Now I think if I hold it down, it should kind of keep doing stuff all the time. Yeah, so everything comes on when you hold it down, basically. So now she's fully lit. So you've got your disruptors lit up, you've got your windows lit up, and you've got your impulse engines going as well. In fact, that's a really nice effect. That looks, it's actually single colour, but it almost looks like you've got the mix from the movies. And then apparently I need to press that again to put it into normal mode, and it should just cycle again. And that is the decloaking cloaking sound, I believe.
I can see you, Kirk. Can you see me?
I'm hoping you can hear this, of course. Maybe if I point the microphone in the right direction. Oh. So this is pretty. It's really loud.
And let's slip the dogs of war.
So it's impressive. It does exactly what it says on the tin. So there we go. So that's about your lot, actually. Let me just go and grab the stand so I can show you it displaying. Okay, so the stand is kind of scaring me because I'm not quite sure exactly how it's supposed to look when it's being properly held. Because it seems to be a slightly jaunty angle to me. And it's kind of, as you can see, it's kind of almost in a sort of a launching angle, so it's kind of sort of about 30 degrees from the horizontal as it's being held there. And I don't know if that's correct, because the box and the instructions are a little bit slim in terms of the detail of what it's then supposed to look like when it's on the stand. The stand is nice, but it's making some real sort of creaky noises as I try and position it, and I'm just a little bit terrified of actually snapping it. Because as you can see, the struts are really quite thin plastic. They embed quite well into the base, but it's just then a question of, you can see it gets really narrow towards the top here. There's this sort of tiny little point that goes into a wider sort of button shaped cylinder there, but it's really sort of, I'm just terrified of doing the wrong thing with it. But it's firm enough. It's firm enough to do that, so you could quite happily hit the button and not worry about it too much. So maybe that's just how it's supposed to be, to give it a more sort of interesting display angle. But I mean, you know, it is a lovely set. There's no two ways about it, and I really do love the fact that it's got the variable geometry on the wings, because a lot of them are by their nature fixed in place, so you can't do anything else with them. That's it. It's kind of game over at that point. And that's why Eagle Moss effectively released 3 different flavours of their normal sized bird of prey, because they had to do that to accommodate the wing geometry changing each time. It's the only way they could do it. Whereas this one has at least 2 wing geometries attached to it. I might read up on it and see if there is supposed to be a third, but I really didn't want to push my luck on the first time out of the box. So I hope you've enjoyed that. If you're, that's kind of use to you if you're thinking about getting one for yourself, because it is a great big chunky model. Maybe it's, I don't know if some people might say that, for example, its disruptors are a little bit over the top. I guess they've had to make them big because they put lighting inside them, so they couldn't get away with them being small. But I am just kind of looking at them and thinking, as much as I moan about my Eagle Moss ones being easy to snap off, maybe this one goes a little bit too far the other way, and then maybe they're a little bit too cannon-y for it. Maybe. But it's an impressive display piece. I mean, you wouldn't miss it, But if your wife's not into Star Trek, then or your partner isn't into Star Trek, then I wouldn't recommend putting it anywhere prominent, because you'll just get sort of grated teeth every time they walk past it. But yeah, but apart from that, you should be fine. I mean, it takes 3 AAs, by the way, and you'll need a very small screwdriver to get into the battery compartment. And that is literally, you don't get much more information about it than that. So I may well go and try and find some other YouTube videos about it, just to see what else I am able to safely do with it. But that's really about it. I think I've now covered all of the bird of praise in my possession, one way or another, tonight. And I better get these videos sorted out. So thanks for watching, and cheers for now.